have here is a Mikuni SBN, I believe 38 is the number. It is a design in Japan, yeah, made in Japan as well, which means that while these look like Phillips screws on the bottom of the carburetor, and here is a Phillips screwdriver, it does actually fit in there, but you can see it doesn't fit real well. Here's a Vessel brand that I got from Amazon. Unfortunately, I don't have an affiliate link for it. That is a Japanese industrial standard, JIS. And see, it fits in the screws much better. Keep in mind that I had this carburetor apart last fall, so the screws are relatively loose. And probably would have worked just fine with a Phillips screwdriver, but having the right screwdriver is important if the carburetor hasn't been apart in a number of years. As I said earlier, there's the pump assembly. Here we have check valves, gasket. This is a little fuel filter, which looks like it's in fairly good shape. Last year when I changed out the fuel lines, this was almost completely plugged with green gunk. Good to see that it's fairly clean. On this side of the carburetor we have the metering diaphragm, which takes the place of a float in a standard carburetor. And it references the vacuum level inside the carburetor to the ambient pressure through this hole right here. There's the diaphragm that does the referencing. Surprisingly not in that bad a shape. And essentially, where a traditional carburetor has a float that references, this diaphragm pushes on there. Again, very important, these screws strip very easily. That's where you really need the JIS screwdriver. And once again, I had this carburetor apart a year ago, so. That screw holds the arm in place for the needle and seat. Do not lose that spring. There are a number of different springs for different applications, and the chances are that in the kit there is a replacement spring, but it's probably not the right one. You're best off to reuse the original. Little flat valve on the bottom there. Rubber gasket. That's the retainer for the seat. And there's the seat. realistically, I'm not finding that this really has much wrong with it. I was worried with the way that the machine was running that I was going to find this completely plugged. Pull out these jets, give them a going over. Grab a flat blade screwdriver to get all of those out. Have you ever noticed that when you reach into a bag of screwdrivers and you're looking for a Phillips, every one that you pull out is a flat blade? And when you're going into a bag of screwdrivers looking for a flat blade screwdriver, every one that you pull out is anything but a flat blade screwdriver. Everything looks like it's in really, really good shape. Okay, so count how many screws in this goes, and then we'll set it the same when we put it back. So there's half, 1, half, and 3/4. So 1 3/4 turns. That one was only about a 1/4 turn. Hard to see, there are some small holes in the wall of that tube, and we need to make sure that we have good clean flow through those holes. I see one there, but I seem to recall in here somewhere there's a series of 3 or 4 of them that we need to make sure are clear. So I'm going to take this outside and spray some carburetor cleaner through it. Kind of hard to record, but I'll be right back. Now, one difference between the Mikuni carburetor and the Tillotson. In the Tillotson carburetor, you basically have to remove these pressed-in Welch plugs. On the Mikuni, this just goes into the large hole there, and doesn't really do anything for you if you're to remove that, because you can clean the back side of it. As I suspected, this carburetor is, for the most part, pretty clean. Now it's just a matter of putting it back together with the fresh parts. And I put the tape on here. I went in to this package a few weeks ago looking for a carburetor mounting gasket. Unfortunately, there wasn't one in there. Now, earlier I said that the springs that came with the kit probably weren't going to be the right ones. You'll notice that there is a slightly different color to those springs. This one is not the right one. Well, it looks to be the right length, but it's definitely a different color. So I think we're going to stick with the original. Okay. So we've got our new fuel filter. Here's the old one, definitely discolored. Does not appear to be any washers on it. We've got our replacement gasket. Sits in there. So now we need to find that diaphragm, which is that there. It's on like that. Here's a tricky one that we have. We've got two little mylar discs that need to get replaced. There is one. That's more like what we're supposed to have. Again, multiple parts. So there's one mylar disc. We need to find the other one. And they conveniently put a blue mark across the disc so that it doesn't disappear on a white table. There's our other mylar disc. And we've got our O-ring. Needs to be replaced. Okay, these are a little tricky. These rubber nubs are quite stiff. Let me go grab a pair of pliers. Oh, it'll come out. There we go, got that one out. And he managed to save the little nubby in case we absolutely have to reuse it. I have read on the forums guys complaining about the little rubber nubbies ripping when you go to reinstall the new ones, so you need to be a little careful. And there we go, another one came out. Obviously, my preference is to use the new ones, but in case we have to use the old ones, we can. Now the trick here is there's not really a right and wrong way to put these in, but they do need to go, rather than on the back side, they need to go against the sealing surface. Now we need a little piece of wire. I'm hoping this will work. This is kind of a sharp point for my liking. I'll give it a try. Nope. that's not going to go. I'm going to go out to the shop and get a little piece of welding rod. That's probably going to be perfect for pushing that in. And the appropriate size Allen key would probably work for this as well. Try this one. It's on the large side. That might not be bad. Try the smaller one. Maybe a little bit of lubricant on there would go a long ways. I'll get some spray lube. Try some silicone lube. Okay, we got a little bit of lubricant on there. I'll give this a try. Oh, we got it. That's one. Here we are, we're through. Well, I hope that the whole... Okay, so the center bar here lines up with the gasket underneath, and as you can see from the old gasket, plus this notch lines up with this, and this lines up with this. So that pretty well guarantees this is going to drop into place like that. Next we have our O-ring. We have our Mylar pump. So that goes on like that, lines up with the hole there. And now we have the other seal, which is pretty crispy. And is obviously going to be a problem. But we do have a new